Alright, so we got a service call from a customer that said their drink cooler is not working. I was just here about a month ago for the same problem. I'm about to find out I screwed up. Let's get into it. Alright, so here's our outdoor unit. Now, as I was climbing up onto the roof, the outdoor unit kicked on for just a few seconds and then shut off. So let's see what's going on. Alright. So we see our contactor is pulled in. So let's see what our voltage is. 1 to 2, 240, 1 to 3, 248, 2 to 3, 249. And so we got proper voltage. Now on the, there's 1 to 2, nothing. 1 to 3, 248, 2 to 3, 248. Now that's strange. So let's see what our voltage drop is. 240, nothing, nothing. So our first phase on this is bad. Let's pull this cover off real quick. Oh yeah. Sure if you can see that or not. Thing is fried. Now what's interesting is I just replaced this contactor about a month ago. Here is where I screwed up. A month earlier, I was tired. It had been a long day and it was after hours, so all I changed was the contactor. I never inspected the system like I should have. And the results? Well, a month later, and another bad contactor. But what caused it to go bad? And was that the only issue with the system? Now you guys probably caught it from the previous part of this video. You know, when I walk up to a unit and I see electrical tape on a joint, I'm not crazy about that. So the first thing I'm going to do is pull the electrical tape off and see what's underneath it. Let me show you what I found. Look what these previous Yahoos did. Look, there's 2 adapters. They just saddled them into each other and taped it up. That's ridiculous, guys. Come on. It's not that hard. I mean, we see they've used Wagos on this system. You could have grabbed a wire nut. You could have grabbed the male adapter and just put them together. But you did that. Another thing I noticed, now this store was remodeled not too long ago and they used the contractors, HVAC guys and refrigeration guys, and from what I understand it was pretty much a mess. So this unit might be less than 2 years old. They've already bypassed the high pressure switch. They put in a secondary high pressure switch, or low pressure switch, excuse me. I'm wondering if this thing's kicking, or when it pumps down, if it's not pumping down and turning back on and causing that contactor to chatter. Because there's no reason that contactor would already be burned out like that. So I'm gonna go down and get some electrical connectors and fix that wire that they got in there, that mess that they did. And then we're gonna dig into this unit. We're probably gonna kick it on, let it run. We're gonna pump it down at the receiver, see how the unit reacts, and that'll give us an idea of what's going on. All right, so I got the contactor all back in. I went ahead and did a repair on the wire there. It wasn't too hard, guys. Just grab a male adapter, crimp it in place, you're good to go. But I got everything hooked up, the unit came on. I've looked at the system, everything's cooling fine. fan motors are running. We have a clear sight glass. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pump the system down, and we're going to see how this thing reacts. One thing I hate about these RDI, I like RDI equipment. They don't give you any room to open and close this receiver. So what we're doing is we're closing the receiver. The refrigerant goes into the receiver, then comes out down to the evaporator. So closing the receiver is going to stop the flow of refrigerant, and in essence the system's going to pump down. Then the low pressure switch should technically shut the system off, kill the compressor. So every time this unit reaches temp, it will pump down. So now we're going to watch, see what happens when it pumps down. We're going to see what our low pressure switch does. Now the fans look like they're running slow in the video, but I promise you they're working great. The condenser coil is clean. All right. Now imagine that happening over and over again for 2 months. Yeah, that'll fry a contactor. Either the valves in our compressor are going bad or something's bleeding by. I'm going to gauge up on this and figure out what's going on. All right, so I think we got them up and running now. Let me show you what I did. Their low pressure switch was bad. So it'd get down to about 5 PSI. The system would shut down and turn right back on, and it was so violent that I just opened the valves back up, and I didn't have a chance to get it on video the second time, showing measure quick. Now let's go ahead and pump the system down. Now it's always good. We got our liquid and our vapor lines on, and it's always good to have them both on. And I'll show you why. As this thing starts to pump down, you want to be sure that your head pressure doesn't go up when it pumps down. Your head pressure rises as it's pumping down. There we go, head pressure is dropping. If your system's overcharged, your head pressure will start rising. Sometimes it'll kick off on high head pressure instead of kicking off on low pressure, the way it's supposed to. Now we'll watch it pump down. The low pressure switch I have is a 10 PSI open, 25 PSI close. Now I'm not a big fan of these types of low pressure switches. Never have been. They fail more often than not. But I know this customer, he's just going to want to get his cooler back up and running. Now I am going to quote him to put in a dual pressure switch. And the one reason I don't like these is they're not 100% accurate. I mean, as you can see, the unit shut off at about 15 PSI. I'm not sure what the open is or what the close is. We'll see that whenever we open the valve again. But, yeah. And the unit's cooling now. I'm going to clean up some of this wiring, make it all nice and neat. But, yeah, the unit's going to be up and cooling. Everything else is working fine. Hopefully he'll approve a dual pressure switch on this, but let's see what it opens up or what it closes at.
So it closed right about 25. But with the dual pressure control, we'll be able to manually control that. We get a little bit more of a split because we don't want the unit to shut down and then the pressure to fluctuate. The system turn back on and off a couple times. It's just going to wear that contactor out again.
Well, we got this system back up and running. Now our box temperature is still high. There's a lot of load, so our suction and our pressure, high pressure, is going to be high. But as the temperature in the box starts to drop, that evaporator coil temperature will come down and the head pressure will drop as well. Now, I should have just taken 15 extra minutes and checked out the system when I was here last time. Despite it being overtime, despite the customer possibly not wanting to pay, we see the results. I'm back here a month later, having to replace the contactor, having to replace the low pressure switch. If I would have just checked out the system, I wouldn't be here. I would have been able to charge for the low pressure switch in a little bit of time it would have taken to replace it. So now I have to go down to the customer and let him know that I didn't check out the system. So I'll work that out with the customer. And guys, you want to be straight with the customers. Let them know you screwed up. Plain and simple. I really appreciate you guys watching this video. Like and subscribe. And down in the comments, let us know what type of videos you're looking for. We'll see you on the next one.